Hey everybody, Mary O'Connor here, founder of Thriving Fast, lawyer and coach for helping people create the self-belief and confidence to have success in your working life and in your business. I'm so thrilled to have you here right now to invite you to learn how to manage the big dilemma of over-promising and under-delivering that affects so many of us for different reasons. We over-promise because we're worried about what other people think. Sometimes we have doubts about being replaceable and being surpassed, and this can cause us to overpromise. Many of us are nervous on the job because we haven't been trained properly, but we think we should be able to do more, and as a result, we can overpromise. We all want to make a good impression at work, and we all want the people at work to think highly of us. Sometimes this can cause us to say yes to everything we've been asked to do without fully considering how we're going to get it done. Then, when it comes close to delivering quality work on time, our people-pleasing tendency can result in harming us because we've overpromised and are about to under-deliver. Just think for one moment what your life would be like if you're able to avoid overpromising and under-delivering. I don't mean some of the time, I mean all of the time. Think about how much less stress you'd have in your life. Think about the angst you would avoid and the worries you'd no longer have if you're able to avoid overpromising. Think about the peace of mind you'd have if you no longer had to concern yourself about having a conversation with your boss or someone else at work when you know that you won't be able to meet the standard or criteria that they're expecting. Think about the extra time you'd have at home or with your family or being out and about enjoying yourself if you didn't have to worry about overpromising and under-delivering. Think about the times when the chips were down and you just couldn't say no to work you were asked to do, even though you knew you wouldn't be able to do it properly, because secretly you felt you should be doing more than you are. You felt you should be more than you are. You didn't know you could say no. And so what happened? You said yes to that work, not because you're not smart, not because you're not successful, not because you're not capable, but because for a moment in time you didn't know what else to say or how to manage the situation. And if I can help you in these situations, even just 10% of the time, or even just 50% of the time, it would be a total game changer. If this becomes a breakthrough in life for you today, then I'm honoured and thrilled to serve you here, because I know the challenge involved in developing the ability to know what to say in these situations. The topic is about more than what you were probably aware of. The techniques I'm going to share with you will enable you to avoid overpromising. These are simple steps to help you avoid overpromising when you know that you won't be able to deliver properly. These are steps that you can print out and keep available in your purse or some other private place so that you can always refer to them when you need to. They are steps that you can read and practice saying over and over again so that you're prepared and ready when you're put into that awkward situations. These techniques will help you avoid the stress and worry that you have when you overpromise, even though you know you won't be able to deliver properly or to the standard expected. Because not delivering on something we've promised will send a clear message about not only our current ability, but also our potential future performance in a higher position at the organisation. When you promise to deliver results and don't produce a quality piece of work, either on time or late, your reputation for trustworthiness and reliability will be damaged. Women in particular sometimes feel they can't refuse work or think there will be an opportunity to learn and grow by taking on additional work. The result of this is that they can take on too much despite having a high workload. What I'm going to share with you are clear and uncomplicated ways to respond when you're put into that awkward situation of being asked to take on work that you know you won't be able to deliver on properly, or if you're considering volunteering for extra work. They are straightforward and make sense. They are ways for you to tell your side of the story in a non-threatening and non-aggressive way. So instead of saying yes automatically, When you're asked to take on extra work or you're considering volunteering for extra work, here are the techniques to follow. What I'd like you to do as we go through these is to ask yourself, am I practicing these techniques? Because keep in mind that common knowledge is not always common practice. Practice is what makes the difference. The first technique is to reprioritize. Ask for work to be reprioritized. This is one simple thing you can do to take tremendous pressure off yourself when you feel you have to say yes to some more work, but yet know you won't be able to deliver unless you take further action. I was a lawyer in Silicon Valley, and asking for work to be reprioritized was something that happened quite often. It was a fast-paced environment where each person had enormous caseloads. In addition, there were legal deadlines that had to be complied with. One of the most common ways that multiple high-priority deadlines were dealt with was to have the lawyers discuss the priority of their work, so that the paralegals and secretaries were given clear instructions as to what particular pieces of work had to take priority over others. It was always the lawyers who had to take responsibility and to reprioritize, not the paralegals and not the secretaries. The same principle applied right up to the most senior lawyers in the firm. More junior lawyers asked the more senior lawyers to reprioritize the work so that all of the priority work was completed when it needed to be completed. If you have some high priority work that you're completing and you're asked to take on another high priority project, but know it won't be possible to complete them all on time with quality work, discuss with your manager which of the tasks can be reprioritized so that the deadlines are possible to achieve. This applies no matter what level you're at. Have your manager reprioritize the work. If possible, discuss it with him or her when they're doing that so you can be part of the decision. But ultimately, and this is very important, it's the manager's decision and responsibility to reprioritize the work, and the manager needs to be happy with the order of priority. If there are a number of managers or bosses involved, it is their responsibility to reprioritize the work between them so that they can agree on the new priorities. This is a crucial point. It's not your responsibility to reprioritize priority work. It's the job of your bosses. They will know about the importance of each project and will be in position to assess between them what job takes priority over another. This will vary in different organizations, but it's a crucial point to be aware of. It takes the responsibility off your shoulders. It's their decision because they're ultimately responsible for having the work completed. Follow up with a short confirmation email to all involved afterwards, including all of the managers, once the new order of priorities has been confirmed. This avoids any future misunderstandings. The second technique is honesty. The number one mistake most people make when they're asked to take on more work than they can deliver on is that they're not honest with the person requesting the work. Be honest. In the long run, it's better to be honest and say you can't take on the work or meet the deadline than to promise that you will and then produce a piece of work that is not as good as it needs to be or isn't completed. In the law firms where I worked, not being honest and not completing the work on time could be grounds for being fired, depending on the importance of the work and the consequences that resulted from it not being done properly. Being honest is an acknowledgement that no one can do everything. Always keep the quality of your work in mind. Your manager would prefer you to have good quality work than substandard or half-finished work that will be of limited or no use and will affect the team and the organization. It could cause an important milestone or deadline to be missed, with huge organizational and financial implications. Your career and reputation will be negatively affected if this happens. You'll be seen as someone who's not reliable or trustworthy to get the job done when you said you would. No one will want to take a risk on giving you an important project again, knowing that you're likely to let them down. So if there's no way you can take on the task, explain your situation and that you don't want to end up producing a result that will be of limited or no use to your manager. Nobody wants a yes person around them who will let them down. For instance, you could say, I won't be able to take on that work because with my workload, I wouldn't be in a position to produce the quality of work that's required or finish it on time. Or, if the situation fits, you could say, I won't be able to take on that work because I haven't been trained in that yet, and because of that I wouldn't be in a position to produce the quality of work that's required or finish it quickly enough. Change the wording to suit the situation and always use your discretion. The third technique is about more resources. If you're under-resourced, say that. If you're feeling pressure to take on the work but you genuinely don't have the time or the resources to complete it, ask for more resources so that you can make it happen. This includes asking for resources from different parts of the organization. For instance, you could say, I'd be happy to take on that work as long as you provide me with enough time to complete it, or if you provide me with additional people or resources. I'll need X additional hours, days, or X additional people to complete it. When asking for more time or resources, be specific and don't guess. If you need some time to calculate the resources you require, say that. For instance, you could say, I'll calculate the additional time or resources that I'll need and get back to you in a few minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or a day. The amount of time you need will depend on how big or complex the job is. Don't underestimate what you need. That would be the equivalent of overpromising and under-delivering. Be firm on what you need. The key here is to be very specific in what you need. The 4 basic and specific questions you must ask to ensure you get the help and resources you need when you are under-resourced are: what is the full job specification? It's important that you know and understand the full extent of what you're being asked to do so that you can fully assess what resources you'll need. Who will organise getting the additional resources? Organising more resources can be extremely time-consuming, and there's always the risk that you won't get available resources. So it's much better if the person requesting the work organises the additional resources. Otherwise, you could spend a considerable amount of time and effort on that task alone, and it could end up being fruitless. The third question is, how can you ensure that the resources that will be assigned to you will be capable of completing the work or appropriate for completing the work? There's no point in having additional resources if they don't have the skills or ability to do the work requested. If you get resources and your assessment is that they are not up to the task, let the requester of the work know immediately so that he or she is kept fully informed and has enough time to do something about it before it's too late. And the fourth question is, what is the deadline for completing the job? It's essential that you know the time requirements for the job in order to work towards them. And the fourth skill and technique is learn a new skill. This is the ignore at your own risk red flag that's essential to identify before taking on extra work. You need to identify whether you have the skills and know how to do the work that's being requested of you. No one can do everything, and no one has all the skills they need to do everything. If you find that you're regularly being asked to take on work that you or your team don't have the skills to do, see whether your team can be reconfigured or whether you or one of your team members could learn this skill set. Even for a once-off task, ask to learn a new skill if the task requires it. Make the decision and make the request to learn a new skill as early as possible so that you don't have to come up short at the end. And the fifth technique is connections. Use your connections. This is the secret to performing work that is outside of your skill range without formally asking to learn a new skill. Your career can be enhanced enormously and in so many ways if you have a network of relationships at work that you can call on for help or guidance when you need it. These relationships need to be mutually beneficial, so you need to be prepared to both give and take. If you have a network of connections at work and one of them can give you guidance about how to perform a particular piece of work, learn from them so that you can complete the work on time and at the quality expected. Before you commit to taking on the work, however, check with your connections first to ensure that they have both the specific knowledge and skills that you need, and they will have the time to give you to teach you what you need to know. Overall then, the reason it's important to tackle the problem of overpromising and under-delivering is because your work is something that you will be evaluated on and it will endure. If it's not possible to do what you've asked, no one will be interested in the backstory of how you produced the work under extremely tight deadlines and with other priority work. It has to stand on its own and be timely and of good quality. No one will be interested in excuses or the fact that it was a monumental task given your workload. When the project is finished, it's only the completed project that people are interested in. In addition, if your name is associated with shoddy work, your reputation will be damaged and you may be overlooked for better assignments and opportunities. I strongly encourage you to learn these techniques so that you have them available at the tip of your tongue when you're asked to do something that you know you won't be able to achieve. Use them to enhance your career and business. I hope this serves you. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until then, live your life and make your difference. Bye-bye.